Thank you all for joining me this morning. And we're going to be talking, all things email marketing. So before I begin, just in case there's folks out there who haven't been on any of my webinars before and don't know me and are wondering, how does this lady get to sit up here and tell us all about email marketing? As you can see from the logo soup there, I have a lot of experience in marketing, both from high growth startups such as ESOT Telecom and Digicel, and very big Fortune 500 brands there, such as JP Morgan, Coca-Cola, Dell. And throughout my experience, I've learned how marketing can really make an impact and can make an impact to the bottom line. It's not all fluff. Back in the day, it was very much the sales departments coming in going, what branded gear have you? When you fast forward to today, marketing is so much more a revenue driver. And I would encourage you all, if you're not thinking about it like that, if you're thinking about it as a cost and not an investment, it's definitely time to shift that focus. So I bring all that experience together now to my clients under my brand, which is Dynamic Marketing, and I offer outsourced or fractional CMO support to organizations who've maybe seen or are seeing now, with all the changes going on at the moment, their sales slump, they're not sure why, or maybe are looking to gain market share but don't know how or where to begin. I put the strategies and plans and initiatives in place to help them get that revenue onto the bottom line, those sales in the bag. So now, enough about me. Let's jump on. I'm going to start off this session by asking you 3 questions. So if you can pop your answers into the chat box for me. The first question I'm going to ask you is, when you wake up in the morning and you turn on your phone, what's the first app you look at? So Clara, you might let me know if there's anything popping in there, see if people are awake.
Yes, so far we've got Instagram, email, Gmail, some various suggestions coming through, mostly social media and email.
Okay, brilliant, perfect. Now here's the second question for you. Have you ever spent hours creating a social media post? So you're thinking, what am I going to talk about? You're thinking, what photo am I going to use? Or you're filming a video. I know myself, sometimes my videos can take 20 or 30 goes, only to find that the likes you're getting are from friends and family. Does that resonate with people? If you can give me a thumbs up or thumbs down or anything at all, Clara, let me know.
Yes, we've got some thumbs up, some saying yes
Yeah.
so far. Not many people have responded, so don't be shy.
Oh, come on, folks. Come on, folks. And my last question for you all then is, if I have down here Instagram and LinkedIn, if whatever social platform you're prevalent on were to disappear tomorrow, would you be able to still keep in contact with those followers?
We have no responses so far. I think people are still worried. I think personally, definitely, I think having email and having LinkedIn and Instagram is a huge part of communication these days. So for me personally, definitely, I would say I would lose a lot of my communication. I'd probably have more time to focus, which would be good.
So now we're going to move into then why social media or why email is important for businesses. So for those of you who maybe are already using email, these are some validation points. For those of you who aren't using email yet, these might be some of those gentle shoves you need to start bringing it into that marketing toolbox for you. So email marketing is a powerful tool for you to really connect with your audience. When you think of all the noise that's around social media, that's gone when you're emailing. You're going straight into their email marketing or into their inbox. So it's allowing you to build that relationship with them. It's also allowing personalization. And this is very, very important when it comes to email marketing. Again, when we compare it to social media, we're talking to everybody on our social media platforms, right? But when we really bring down email marketing, we can target it through, we can segment our email lists so that we're really showing people our products or our services that are of value to them or of interest to them. So it really is that it's so much more targeted. It's a really, really helpful tool. It's got one of the highest returns on investment in the digital cross-marketing digital channels. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with return on investment, again, I would really encourage you to start looking at it. What that means is if you consider how much time, money you put into doing something, how much do you get out of it? So return on investment is a very important metric to measure across all your marketing activities, whatever you're doing. So when we look at those return on investment, and this came out from a HubSpot report there just a couple of months ago, they are reporting that email generates 36 euros for every €1 spent. It also converts 3 to 5 times higher than social media. And again, when you think of that, it probably makes sense, right? Because if you were to promote your service, say on social media, again, it's going out to everybody and you're hoping the right people will see it and will engage with it. But with email marketing, you're going out to those people who you know want to know about this product or service, who have already shown those intents through different engagements with you. So that makes perfect sense. And then automated emails, which we're going to have a chat about later on, they generate 320 times more revenue than non-automated. So again, if that's something that you haven't quite started yet, a few slides down, I'll show you, I'll be talking about the importance and how you can do it. Definitely something for you to have a think about. So we also can see that 81% of small businesses rely on email as their primary channel for acquiring new customers, and 80% use it for customer retention. Now, there's a piece that I would encourage you all to keep an eye out on. A lot of small businesses I talk to spend an awful lot of time and money trying to acquire new customers, but then they forget about the customers they have. And when you think about it logically, the customers in your customer pot, they've bought from you already, they trust you, they know you, so it makes sense that upselling or cross-selling to them is going to be a lot easier and at the end of the day a lot cheaper. So again, if you're not focusing on retention, here's a way that you can do that through that email. And again, you know, if you're working on maybe a subscription model, what I would encourage you to do is don't wait until, you know, it's coming up to month 11. Oh, your subscription's due to renew next month. Keep them warm. Keep them nurtured along the way, because, you know, we're all buyers, we're all customers in our own way, and we all know how it's nicer to feel that you're actually valued. And email marketing is a great way to do that. So what do all those points actually mean for your business? The big thing is you're not on rented land. Now, what do I mean by that? When you look at all these social media platforms, you are totally you're playing against the algorithm. There, you have no control over it. And if there's any shift in the algorithm at all, you could be penalized. I don't know if any of you out there are on LinkedIn. I know I saw my LinkedIn like take a nosedive around the summer of last year because there was a shift in the algorithm. So again, when you're on that rented land, you have no control. Email marketing is your own data. And in this world where we've got, you know, ChatGPT going on and all the algorithms, as I said, owning your own data and using your own data, we call it first party data, is absolutely gold. So again, when you're using email, you can use it to build up that list and it's yours. You can deal with it. You can segment it. It's totally in your control. So that's a powerful thing. The ROI, so I'm back to ROI again, return on investment, the intent. You know, when you look at, you know, how you look on social media yourself, we're browsing, right? And we're flicking and it's really, really quick. So if you're not grabbing my attention in a millisecond, I'm gone. Whereas with email, it lands in my box, right? There's an opportunity for me. I probably have my preview window. I can scan it quickly. There's more of an intent there. I'll take the time to read it. The other thing to think about is the attention span. Again, I'm back to that scrolling, right? Whereas when an email drops into your box, again, depending on how it grabs my attention, I'm not belittling that at all. And again, I'm going to talk about that in a few slides. it lives there for a while, right? And it's only when I actually get rid of it and delete it that it's gone. I might actually mark it to come back to later. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I do that as well. And I bank off a few hours in my day where I go, okay, I need to really focus in on these emails. This is something I want to look at. So the intent is there. I'm more interested in it. So some very strong points for you then on why email marketing is good. So some of you out there may be starting, you haven't started email marketing. Maybe some of you already are doing it. But for those of you who are thinking, okay, I absolutely want to get going on this, but like, where do I even begin? The first thing I would say to you is keep it simple. Choose a platform that you like and you will use. There are so many platforms out there at the moment. You can go from basic to, the platinum level with all your bells and whistles. And while it may be tempting to go for one of those with AI added in and blah, 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 if you're not comfortable using it, if you feel a little bit overwhelmed by it or intimidated by it, you're not going to use it. So what I would say is choose a platform that you feel comfortable using. Check and see, will it integrate with your CRM? Now, for those not familiar with CRM, your customer relationship management tool. A CRM tool is a great way for you to keep track of all your engagements with prospects and with clients. So having your email platform integrated in means that you can see, okay, Lissa McPhillips, I met her at an event. I emailed her a week later. I emailed her with this special offer 2 weeks later. Now, do you know what? I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call Lissa. So you can track that. If it doesn't integrate, you just have to kind of straddle across 2 different platforms. It can be a little bit tricky. Will the platform you're using scale with your growth as your list grows? Everybody starts small, right? But we all have ambitions. We're going to grow. A lot of the free platforms will allow you to have a certain amount, and then you'll go on paid as your subscriber base increases. Now, some of them, the free bit is quite small. Some of them it's a little bit larger. So again, do your research and see, is this going to scale with me? Is it going to give me what I want? Are there going, maybe you're looking for, at the moment, you might be looking for a fairly simple template, but down the line, I have an idea, I want to build in different integrations, and will I be able to do that as I grow? So a few to take a look at. I suppose the most popular is MailChimp. Probably everybody has heard of MailChimp. MailerLite is another one. Now, again, to my point earlier on of the free plans, I believe it gives up to 1,000 contacts, which is really chunky. So that might be one to look at. If you're a retailer, if you're using Shopify as your website, your e-commerce site, Klaviyo integrates very nicely. And if you've got a multi-channel, so you've got all various different between your, maybe you might have text built into webs, built into socials, and they're all kind of interacted in an omni-channel environment. Omnisend is a great option to take a look at. And these are only some. There are loads. So what I would say is all of them will have a free version. Depending on your availability, try one. If you don't like it, try another, or, dive into one and go, right, I'm going to make the most out of this. But again, the important thing is that you're comfortable using it. You're okay to press a button here and there and see what happens. And as I said, it fits in with what you're looking for your business. So now, we've spoken about why email marketing, we've spoken about the benefits to your business, we've chosen our platform. So now, how do we build a marketing list, an email marketing list? One thing we can look at is a pop-up on the website. So I'm sure everybody here is familiar with it. You pop onto websites and maybe after 5 seconds, or another thing you can do is time it as to when I scroll to a specific section on the website, a pop-up box comes up. So that could be one way that you do it. Another way could be to encourage your followers on social media to sign up to my newsletter. That's another way that people grow lists. You may go to events, so be they networking events or be it a trade show or, you know, something like that, and you might gather information. Again, this kind of will tie in as well with that integration into your CRM. So for example, when I'm at shows in the RDS or whatever, and I gather, you know, I come home with a big bunch of business cards, I'll put them into my CRM tool, and then I can email them out, great to have met you the other day, you know, and I can build up that relationship. Again, remember, it's about building up the relationship. You're not getting a list here to go, hi, this is Lisa, these are my products, buy from me now. It's that slow build, that continuous build as well. Because don't forget, buyers need to get trust. If they don't know you, they're going to want to know, well, who is this person? You know, do I really want to invest with them? So it's that slow build. You can create lead magnets. Now, for those of you not familiar with lead magnets, that can be maybe a checklist, you know, download my checklist. Here's a quick video on how to do, here's a how-to guide. Maybe depending on the area you're in, you might offer a free trial of your service or your product or whatever it might be. That's another little hook that people would be willing to give you their email address and information for in order to get value back. And the other one is like what we're doing here now, use webinars or online workshops. Again, you know, you can work by yourself or you can collaborate with people and join forces. And that gives you an opportunity to kind of cross-pollinate, so to speak. So I'll bring my email list, my strategic partner will bring theirs, and it allows us to kind of email each other, each other's contact lists and build that relationship. So some ideas there on how you can build some lists. Now, like everything else, email has to be used properly for it to work. So some areas to think about is, you know, when you're doing a newsletter, and that's probably a good way, the way a lot of people would start off, you know, click here to download or to register for my newsletter. Think about, put yourself in your prospect's shoes, in your reader's shoes, right? You don't want to be sold to immediately. You want value. You know, it's about what are you giving me? How are you showing me that you are somebody I want to engage with across whatever it is, even if it's a simple buy a pink widget from me. What makes you the best provider of the pink widgets? So think about that. Think very much about giving value. It's a time for you. Remember, on one of my previous slides, I spoke about building that relationship. This is a great opportunity for you to build those relationships. So think about it yourself. What would you want to know about somebody before you started buying from them? The 80-20 rule. Educational tips behind the scenes, you know, here's what happens before you wake up in the morning. I've already got all this done, getting my widgets ready to ship to you. That kind of fun thing. Maybe I was at an event the other day, a speaker spoke about blah, blah, and it got me thinking, you know, you can bring that around, weave it around into your own messaging, what makes sense for you. And then the 20% is the ask. Now, what I would say as well is you can be clever in how you do this. So when you're looking at your templates, you'll have the main header where you want to grab somebody's attention, you'll have the copy, and then there are probably areas down below where you might add in something like, you know, read about my services, and you might have 3 nice squares that says, okay, I do presentations, I do mentoring, I offer outsource marketing, and those boxes are there. They're not in my face, they're low, but if I do want to go down and have a look and go, what else does Lisa do? I can go down and I can click. So that you've got that subliminal selling going on almost without it being in your face. When the time comes then for you to actually ask for the sell, absolutely, maybe you're promoting your webinar or you've got a sale coming up or whatever that might be, then absolutely use that big space. But again, just, you know, as you're planning out your emails, kind of think about what content is going to go in and how are you going to keep it educational, building the trust without always saying, buy from me, buy from me. A load of people say, oh, how many times should I be sending emails? You know, do I do it weekly? Do I do it daily? Do I do it monthly? What I would say to you is it is consistency over frequency and quality over quantity. A lot of times I see people, we're going to do a newsletter. We're going to do a newsletter. First one goes out, brilliant. Second one goes out, yeah, bit rushed. Third one, we totally forgot about it. So instead of going out at the beginning of the month, it's going out at the end of the month. Fourth one, oh, didn't get any content. Sure, nobody will notice. We'll miss that. And it slips. So if you're going to commit to your newsletter, your email marketing, plan it out in advance. And all these platforms allow you to schedule. So again, with a little bit of planning, you can get all your emails set up, ready to go and scheduled. So, you know, if you know you're coming into a busy period, you know, you can think, okay, I've got that work done. I don't need to worry about it. And that consistency is going out, because that really is important, rather than worrying, should it be at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday or, you know, 11:30 on a Wednesday. That consistency all the time. A recognizable from field. Now, again, and we're going to talk about it in the next slide or so, you know, the challenge with email marketing is that you don't want to hit somebody's spam folder. So these are the types of ways that you can not do that and stay out of the spam. One of it is a very recognizable from field. So again, if you think about it yourself, if you get an email in, info at, that's promo, that's sales. I usually delete them. I don't even look at them. But if I see Lisa at Dynamic Marketing or Bob at the Big Blue Box company, I'm like, oh, okay, it's a real person. It's a real person. I'm going to give it my attention, you know, even if it is for a split second. So do take a look at that. The authentication protocols. Now, again, it sounds a little bit, techie here. You may need to get your IT people involved, depending on how technically minded you are. Again, it's worth it, okay? Because what this does is it literally authenticates your email and your domain for the email platform. So again, you know, when you're looking at all this whizzery-dizzery that's going on in the background, and I'm not even quite sure what it is, from all the email providers, if you have this authentication coming through, these DMARCs, etc., it goes, okay, yeah, this isn't, this isn't something dodgy, and it'll let it through. So that's definitely one to take to make sure you do. The subject lines. Now, again, when you think about our inboxes, right, you want something, you have that line, you want something that's going to grab me. Now, that doesn't mean you should have, you know, a line full of emojis, because, you know, that's not very professional, and that can put people off as well. But, you know, find a headline that's really going to grab my attention, you know. Is the price of diesel stopping you jumping in the car? And now, obviously, if it's related to something like that, you know, I'm not saying come up with a headline that has no relation to your topic, but find something that's on point. That, you know, what you might do as well is think about conversations you've had with your buyers. What are they saying? What challenges are they coming out with at the moment? And use that maybe as your headline. You know, are you feeling blah, 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 you know? So that might be a way. So do have a look at that. Within most of the platforms, there is a little AI checker that'll check it for you. But again, you know, be careful with AI. Maybe it doesn't have your tone of voice. It's a good way to kind of stimulate ideas, but, you know, always personalize it yourself. Split test. Now, what split test means is that you can actually send the same, you can send two different types of emails to the same email list at the same time. So let's say, for example, on one, you might change the heading, or on the other, you might change maybe the images or the positioning of your information. Now, split testing is great as you're trying to start off in email marketing and you're not quite sure, will people click on that? Do they like images, or do they like more copy? Or, you know, you're trying to kind of figure out what works best. What I will say to you, though, is be careful with the split testing, because if if one is black and one is white, it's going to be very difficult. You've so many different changes going on to ascertain, well, what did they like? What didn't they like? So instead, think of 3 or 4 maybe different things that you can change over a period of a few months or a few weeks, depending on the frequency of your email. Maybe change the header one time, maybe change the positioning of the text the next time, and then check in the results and see, what did people engage with more. But split testing is a good way to, as I said, to kind of see what's resonating with your readers. Resent unopens. Now, this is an area that I see a lot of businesses forget about. In a lot of platforms, it's automated. You can literally say, do you want me to do this? In some, you have to set it up yourself. What this means is, let's say, for example, if I'm sending out my email newsletter on Monday, and I send it out at Monday lunchtime, and it goes out, people read it, people open it, brilliant. But there's going to be people who don't. Maybe they're too busy, maybe they haven't got to it yet, maybe they're away on holidays, many, many different reasons. What the system will do is it will send the email again to all those people who haven't opened it, maybe on Thursday or on Friday. So it gives it another chance to try and get opened. So it's a great way, again, to just maximize and optimize the click-through rates and the open rates. So certainly something to take a look at. And as I said, on most of the platforms, you just tick a box and it does it automatically. On others, you kind of have to set it up for yourself. What you might do as well is, change your heading for the unopened. So if you, whatever heading you have for the one on the Monday, and then you might go, oh, let me kick it up a notch or make it a little bit more risque maybe or something. So, hard hitting, something that's really going to impact people. Again, stay on brand. Risque was probably a bad word to use, but stay on brand, but just mix it up a little bit and maybe it'll grab them a little bit more. So a great tool to use, definitely. So now, when we look at then, strategies to build up email lists, what can we do? So we spoke about the lead magnet. This is great, what we call the top of funnel. So again, these are people who haven't met you yet, maybe, who are kind of shopping around and deciding, gosh, I have a problem, but I'm not quite sure who I'm going to get to solve the problem for me. And don't forget as well, not all your buyers are ready to buy from you at any one time. So it's very important that you keep them warm. And that's a great thing that email marketing does. So back to the lead magnet. You, again, as we spoke about before, maybe you want to give away something. Maybe you want to give away a tips sheet, or you want to, it's a quick how-to guide, or it could be a trial of your program. If you're selling a piece of software, pardon me, maybe you get to download it and try it for a little while. So that's definitely one way to try it. The other way is your email signature. So when you think about all the emails that you send throughout the day, why don't you have it down in your email signature? If you want to learn about X, download my free guide here. And again, that will lead to the pop-up box and people can download it. So that could be another way for you to get email addresses. Third way is link in bio on your socials. Again, instead of directing people to your website homepage where they may get a little bit lost. And again, depending on how your website is laid out, if you've got a lot of products or a lot of services on, it may be a little bit overwhelming and they're like, oh, I don't know where I want to go, and they may bounce. This is a great way to bring them to a dedicated landing page where, again, they can download the lead magnet or sign up to the newsletter. And again, you're getting those emails in, the all important data. So now, just kind of a quick sip of water. Automations. So I spoke about the importance of this a little while ago. And especially, this is very useful if you're integrating your email marketing into your CRM tool. So for example, what you might do is, somebody has signed up for your newsletter or for your lead magnet. The first email automatically, so, if you can picture it, you've got the pop-up box on your website, they fill everything in. They hit send, immediately comes back. Thank you, Lisa, for your interest in my guide. Here it is, click the link or whatever. I hope you find it useful, right? So it's very high level, engaging. Thanks very much, right? So that could be the immediate one. Then a week later, you can set up an automation that maybe says, hi, Lisa, I hope you enjoyed that tips guide. I was reading this article the other day and they said, blah, 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 blah. Are you seeing this as a challenge for you? You're building up that rapport, right? You're keeping it all going. And then maybe, email 3 or 4 weeks, it might be a soft ask. It could be, I'd love if you'd follow me on social media. Would you like to book a discovery call? Something like that. So when you have all these automated, you're not worrying about, oh my gosh, okay, how many people downloaded? I need to go into the back end and check. 2 people downloaded on Monday, 20 people downloaded on Tuesday. If you have that whole automated sequence going, it's going away for you. And what it's also doing is it's adding, once somebody subscribes, it adds people on to the list immediately. So they jump into then your master list, so to speak. So they're getting your newsletters, etc. But this can be more targeted specifically to them. So definitely something to take a look at. All the platforms do provide for it. It's usually a drag and drop flow. It's really not that difficult to do. But have a look, check out videos on YouTube or Chat GPT or whatever AI tool you use as well will give you kind of step-by-step instructions as to how to do it. But that's definitely a good one to think about, because again, we're all busy, right? And as small business owners, we're all wearing many, many hats. So if you can automate something and take that off you, then why not? So definitely something to take a look at there. So now, top tip to get past the bouncer on the door. So we spoke about, hitting somebody's spam box, and a lot of the email providers will use algorithms to protect users from the spam. So, absolutely getting that authentication is one way to do it. But sometimes when you send too many emails at once, the mail platforms will all kind of go, no, I mean the emails, like the Gmails and the Outlooks and that will go, oh, hang on a minute now, we're seeing this is going out to a lot of people, and they'll flag it. So again, within the email tools, they will advise you on the optimum number of emails to send at any one time. Now, if you're sending out, 100 at a time or whatever, that's fine. This very much gets into the level of when you have those larger email lists, and you might be sending maybe a total, 1,000 or a couple of thousand emails. Rather than send them all in one go, the system will drip feed them. And the reason it does that is to get by these kind of filters that are coming on. So again, you'll see that as you pick through whatever platform you're using, you'll see that option will be there. It's important before you hit send that you go through all the different options, because again, the platform will try and optimize it as best as it can for you. Now, a thing to remember is if an email can be whitelisted, so if a receiver engages with it in some way or replies in some way, then that tells their email or their Outlook, their Gmail, oh, this is safe, this is okay. So think about that as well, because if they engage with you and you can get that whitelisting, you're automatically going to drop into their primary inbox and maybe not go in, on Gmail, the way they have it sectioned into different kind of social and promotions and that. Ideally, you want to pop into the primary box. So if you can get yourself whitelisted, that's a great way to do it. So how can you do that? So a lot of it is, it's getting that engagement, right? It's making it easy for people to respond to you, to engage with your emails. So one thing might be, I'm planning my content for next month. Would topic A or topic B be relevant for you? Now, again, do you remember we spoke about at the beginning, the segmenting of the emails? So as your email list grows, make sure you look at it. Don't treat it like social media. Don't, throw an email out there and see what sticks. Segment it out. If you've got people who are interested in a particular service, then email them on that. If you've got people who are interested in a particular product, email them on that. You know, really make it targeted. It's worth the bit of work if you can really get, because as I said, that's when people will engage with you, and when they'll engage with you, you're going to get better results. You might also ask, what's the biggest challenge in your business night right now? And you could add little radio buttons so they just click one automatically. That can be set up within your templates. Or you could just say, I've just put together a quick one-pager, hit the word yes, and I'll send it directly to your inbox. You see a lot of people do that as well. And the whole idea is to validate the email, right? It may come across that they're being so helpful. They want to validate the email. They want to make sure they're going to pop into your inbox for future settings. And actually, as we're talking about that, one thing to say to you as it drops into my mind as well is all these platforms will have GDPR built into them. So there will be an automated unsubscribe button added to your template. And that's non-negotiable. So don't worry about that. That's already built in. So the next thing now is measurements. So as with everything, we spoke about return on investment. Remember, if you can't measure it, you can't actually see what the return is. So the one thing I would say to you is, you know, when you open up some of these platforms, there's the reporting, the analytics side of it. You've got all these charts and everything coming at you. Don't get overwhelmed, okay? Pick the bits that are relevant to you. What I would suggest is to focus on the top 3. The open rate. So this is how many people actually opened your email. And this will tell you if your subject line was good, right? So again, if you think about it, it's coming into my inbox. I've got the subject line. I may get a quick preview. Maybe I've got a preview window set up in my email, but maybe I don't. So you really want that subject line to be hard hitting, to really grab my attention and make me click. The next one is your click-through rate. So they open the email, but then where did they go? And you want to make sure that they've actually clicked through. It's an important one because it tells you you can open the email and do absolutely nothing with it. And that could be fine. But how many have actually clicked through the email? And then the other one is, what have they clicked on? So again, for example, one of my clients at the moment now, they offer HR services, outsourced HR services. And what we do is every month there is a newsletter that goes out to their base. And we can base we look in and see what people were clicking on, what topics were of most interest, and we use that then to build our calendar for LinkedIn or for our emails, or sorry, for our blogs, for our videos, because we're seeing, oh gosh, you know what, people are interested in this topic. They were clicking on it. A lot of people clicked on this topic. It's also great because it shows you maybe where there are potential upsells. So again, coming back to that template I was talking to you about, if you've got your other services from down below and you see people are clicking on that, you're kind of going, oh, okay, I didn't know she'd be interested in that. And it gives you an opportunity. Now, not in a stalker way, right? You don't say, I saw you clicked on, but you can see that people maybe are interested in a specific area that maybe you're not selling to them into at the moment. So for example, in the example I was showing you, we saw that a lot of people were interested in recruitment. So we were able to then take those people and do up an email out to them to say, oh, did you know we also offer all these kind of services? So it gives you that opportunity to cross-sell, upsell. You're using the information intelligently and using it to direct so that you can continue to add value to the base. So what are the key takeaways we have learned today? Email owns the audience. So that is absolutely key. You don't want to be reliant on algorithms. You don't want to be reliant on anything else. You want to own the data and be able to use the data and segment the data as you see fit. Email allows you to do that. Pick the platform, stick to it, measure it. By all means, maybe you'll outgrow it and that's fine, but at least give it a chance, become familiar with it, understand the analytics. Actually, one thing there on the analytics that it just jumped into my mind. If you see people unsubscribing, don't panic. That's a way to cleanse your email list, because maybe those people, just aren't looking for your services anymore, or maybe they've bought from you and they don't need anything else from you, so don't panic. Don't panic if you see unsubscribes. And again, back to the point I was making earlier about the GDPR, the email platforms will update your list for you automatically. So if somebody unsubscribes, they won't get subsequent emails. So don't worry about that. Offer value before asking for a sale. Again, think of it yourself. We're all buyers. We don't like getting emails, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. We want that relationship built up. We want to be able to come to the decision ourselves. This is the person I want to engage with. So find ways of adding value. And that's what I have for you today. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Lissa, for such a great session. I think we're all definitely learning the value and the credibility of using email right rather than just using it. I think myself spending some time setting up automation in email is a really good way of investing now, so you're not investing so much ad hoc along the way and deprioritizing from your focus. And again, I've taken away that consistency point, that consistency is key. I know myself when I receive the same types of emails, that structure and that familiarity is really helpful in knowing that's when I want to buy, that's when I want to look at something. And so I think that's a really important point to take on. Now we have gotten some questions in, and feel free to continue popping the questions into the Q&A box. So someone here said they have a decent amount of email subscribers, but they need to make the most of the platform. Where do they start?
Now, okay, make the most of the platform. I'm not quite sure what that means. Maybe so.
Maybe their CRM system, maybe it's they have those subscribers, but they're not sure how to nurture or where to start.
Yeah, so if it's through the CRM system, what I would say to you is, again, segment. So have a look at everybody that's on that list and kind of see, are there commonalities? Be it, are they a sector? Are there a specific product or service people are looking for? Try and find something that's relevant, and then you can segment that way. On the platform itself, what I would suggest you do is take some time and literally go through all the different services that are available within the platform you're on. So for example, your automations, you're building up your lists. In MailChimp, for example, you can tag people, which is great because you might tag people. Let's say I've been to an event and I've got all these email names and everything. I want to pop them into my master list, but I'm going to tag them that I met them at RDS March 2026. You can put those tags on, and then when you're sending emails, you can say, find everybody with these tags, or equally, you can say, find people with these tags and don't send it. So there's a lot within each platform. So I really would suggest take the time to learn the platform and to familiarize yourself with how it all works.
Okay, so we've got another question here, which is, which, in your opinion, picture versus text? And there's another question here saying, what's the best template to use? So I think these questions are surrounded by how much images to use in those automated or those emails on the CRM.
Yeah, and that's where your split tests will come in and show you as well, because it depends on the audience you're going out to and what it is you're selling. If you're in the retail space, images are probably going to be very important because people will want to look and see what they're going to buy. If you're more in the consultancy space, certainly you want to break up the text with images, but you don't want it to be all images. What I will say, though, is don't ever put a headline into an image, because none of the email, like Google, Outlook, they can't read images. That's why you'll see, you may be familiar with something called alt text. So as you add an image to your template, you'll be able to add a little describer. So it tells the emails what this actually is, So for example, if you see my picture there, if I were putting that on an email, in the alt tag, I'd put dynamic marketing offers outsourced marketing consultancy to small business owners. So if the image can't show, at least that line will pop up. But if you put, massive sale, everything must go in that image, Google won't be able to see it, or Outlook won't be able to see it. So be careful how you lay it out. Again, as I said, that's where the split testing might come in handy as well, is kind of play around with it and see what people engage with. But certainly it's about kind of helping people read it. If you see if an email comes in and it's so copy heavy, you kind of get a little bit, ooh. But at the same time, then, if it's a consultancy, if it's something that needs copy, what you can do as well, actually, is don't forget to use your website. So if you have, let's say, for example, if you want to talk about an issue, and I would do this now. So I want to talk about maybe an issue regarding outsourced marketing. I do a little synopsis, and then I put a link, and I drive that link to my website where people can then read the extended copy. So that might be another way to play around with it.
And would email discriminate for too many images, would you say?
Again, it's how they're set up. Because again, when you look at emails, if you think about emails yourself coming in from retailers, they're going to have lots of images showing their wares, whatever it might be. So it's really around setting them up properly and choosing the right template. And again, a lot of the platforms will have templates set up for you, so you can use them, or you can kind of create your own ones. So play around with it and see.
We've got another question in. It's what would be a good example of a hook to use in an email subject?
Oh gosh, now that's a bit of a loaded question, because I'm not quite sure what your business is. It really depends on, the business you're in. And you remember I said to you, think about conversations that you're having with your buyers and your clients at the moment, because if they are saying things to you, chances are other buyers of the same ilk, their peers, are going to have the same kind of queries or whatever. So you could ask a question. You could make a bold statement. Maybe you've got a piece of research, 10% of businesses are wasting money on this. Are you? That might be one. It really does depend on the audience you're going out to, pardon me, and what it is you're selling. But again, when you go on to the platforms, most of them have a little AI tool. So it will allow you, again, say to them, I'm going out to this type of an audience. I want a hard-hitting subject line. This is what my email is going to be about. Can you give me a few suggestions? But making it relevant to them is more important than just trying to come up with some random subject.
On a similar vein here, we have a question saying, should I call my newsletter and company name, or should I make it specific to that newsletter?
Read that one for me again, as in.
So I think that what they're looking for is it, let's say, Dynamic Marketing June newsletter? Should that be the title of the email, or should they say something like summer sale, we're offering 20% off for new customers? What's the best way to title a newsletter, I think?
Yeah, so now a newsletter, what I would encourage you to do is try and find something that stands out a little bit more. By all means, you can go Dynamic Marketing's June newsletter, but my newsletter, for example, is called The Bottom Line. So, every month I'll have the bottom line is coming out, and it hits people's emails. So again, I suppose it depends on the business you're in, but I would think no more so than building up brand awareness of your own brand. Start building up brand awareness of this newsletter, if indeed it is the newsletter that is going out monthly or fortnightly or quarterly or whatever. Now, don't mix up your newsletter with your continuous email marketing. So your newsletter can certainly have its own name, be it whatever you think that should be. But then your email marketing, so your pop-up boxes that we spoke about, or your lead magnet, they would need different titles. So I hope that's answered that one.
And we just have one or two more questions. So is there a best standard time of day to send emails?
You know what? If there is, I haven't found it. Well, I use MailChimp a lot, and it will kind of say, oh, you should send it at this time. But a lot of times I kind of use the analytics to tell me. What I have found is that Fridays sometimes can be good because people are a little bit more relaxed. I would stay away from Monday, absolutely. I would stay away from the day after a bank holiday, absolutely. You might also send it maybe at lunchtime, but again, depending on the audience you're sending it to, really, this is where the analytics come in. So what I would suggest is play around with a few times and see, is there one where you're getting better open rates than other? There's no silver bullet with this because, you know, your email marketing list is going to be different to my email marketing list. What I've to say is going to be different to what you've to say. So it really is, that's where the analytics come in, and keep an eye on them.
I think we'll take finished questions there and we'll move on. But if anyone has any further questions, Lissa has her details there. We'll share the recording of the event with everyone so they can follow up directly, or you can contact us if you have any further questions to reach out to Lissa. I think everyone's walking away with a much more confident approach to email after today's session. And realistically, it's just about investing a little bit more time in planning and invest a little bit more time on learning new tools and then being able to roll that out. So I think it's really given us something to think about. Before we finish up, I just wanted to let you all know about the next event topics that we'll be covering. So April 7th, we'll be discussing submitting public tenders. On April 23rd, our expert will discuss how to build a brand that actually sells. On May 7th, developing staff for higher performance. So Lauren is going to add a link in the Q&A section there, and we'll also send it out in our follow-up email. And what we're looking for is any specific areas you are looking for more advice on, any specific topics we haven't already covered that you think that might be valuable to other members. It'd be really helpful to get your feedback. So please just pop in, spend 2 minutes and just give us a little bit of feedback there. At our next monthly in-person second Tuesday event, on the right there, you'll see with DLR West Business Association, we have Leo and National Enterprise Hub with microfinance talking about grants and business growth. And we're also lucky enough to have Mark Fielding, an SME expert, to do an hour-long lunch and learn from busy to profitable, which will be held in our brand new renovated office space here in Nutgrove. So now finally, I wanted to mention the hub. If you can move to the next slide.
Oh, sure.
Lissa. So the hub is our in-house accelerator mentor program at the Bridge Enterprise Centre here. If you know of any businesses starting out or in a growth phase looking for a base and some mentorship program, please share this with them. Scan the QR code on the screen. It's all on our website. We're looking for, I think we've got 3 or 4 more slots left to fill, and we're looking to support our local businesses in growing their business and have a base with us where they can meet other similar SMEs. So that's it. Thank you very much, Lissa. I think I've got a list of about 5 or 6 things I'm already taking to action. I'm sure everyone here has taken away at least 1 or 2 more tips and tricks along the way. So everyone says thank you very much. We really appreciate your time. And
great.
See you at the next one.
See you at the next one. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.